Back in August, I published my most popular video ever, a video that to date has got over 1.5 million views, and it was a story about how the largest lake on the island of Ireland has become completely poisoned and toxic over the summer months due to pollution causing this toxic bacteria, this blue-green algae to grow. And today I'm heading back there to see how things are. Now that we're into autumn, I'm starting off here at Anum Castle Gardens. This place is a beautiful place to run at this time of year, so let's go and kick some leaves. But on my way down to the loch, I'm running through Anum Castle Gardens. This place is absolutely beautiful in autumn. With all the trees and the leaves and the squirrels. That is all that's left of Anum Castle. It used to stand right here, and hang on. Those lines of stones, they mark what used to be the old perimeter. I think it burnt down in a fire. When we get down to the loch, I will tell you, well, I'll recap the story slightly, but if you're really interested, go and watch that full video. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about the repercussions and what might be happening next. I'm experimenting a little bit with the cameras I use for this channel. I wanted to keep it super simple. I only use one camera, and that lets me edit these videos quickly, but I've been experimenting with different types of poles and accessories for the camera. I've got this really long pole with me today. So this is it about 2 feet from my face, but I can extend it all the way to back there, which I think gives you a much better impression of the environment I'm running through. So you can let me know. Oh, and the other thing is, I'm shooting this on the DJI Action 5 Pro. They just released a bitrate update for this camera. If you don't know what that means, basically it now shoots higher quality video, but that comes at the cost of battery life and the amount you can actually record. I like this bit. There's the otter pool. That's the 6 Mile Water River. There's a one-eyed otter lives in there, and if you come down here at certain times of the year, you'll find photographers nearly at each other's throats over the most optimal spot to stand to take photographs of it. This is my go-to place to run when I want just a nice, flat, easy run, because there's very few hills in the route I'm going to be doing today, and also I live just about 10 minutes away from here, so it's handy to get to. That's a promising sign. The river looks, and it probably looks totally brown in this, but if I put the camera down there, you can see it doesn't look particularly appetizing, but the water does look clear, and that's crucial because in the middle of summer, around about July, this was completely bright green and smelt disgusting. We're almost at the loch itself. Here we are, Lough Neagh. Perfectly clear water today. Look. But as I said, in the middle of July, this entire loch had turned bright green and was toxic. You couldn't go into it. Water sports had to stop. There were cases of dogs being poisoned, livestock being poisoned. Search and rescue workers ended up getting sick through it into the water. The algae that was in there, worst case scenario, could kill you if you came in contact with it. Best case scenario, if you came in contact with it, would make you kind of sick. And the reasons for it go right back to the 1960s and arguably even further back to the 1940s 40s, and I made this video about it. I'm not going to explain everything here. You can go and watch that video if you want to find out. But really what I want to talk about during this run has been the aftermath of that video, because there's been a few things that have happened, I suppose. One is that my channel got a massive boost from suddenly having a video that went over 1 million. It's the closest I've ever, well, it's the first time I've ever got anything close to that. My next nearest highest number of views up to that point was around 300,000, so it was astonishing how many views it got. And in the 3 months since I published that video, everything on my channel has gone up. It just seems to boost it every other video on there having that successful video. So from my channel's perspective, it's been great. And by the way, I'm talking about my main channel, not this one. This is my third channel actually, but my main one is Stephen J Reid, and I'm close to 90,000 subscribers, and it looks like I might hit 100,000 subscribers by Christmas, which is just astonishing, because at the start of the summer my realistic prediction for hitting 100,000 subscribers was still 1.5 years away. And that one video has brought it forward by over 1 year. It's just, yeah. Anyway, so aside from that, there have been some other fallout things that have happened as a result of that video. So one thing that happened was the new Environment Minister for Northern Ireland sent me a DM on Instagram saying he'd seen the video, he'd liked the video, and offered me the opportunity to go and see some of the work that's being done to try and fix some of the causes, because there was about 6 different contributing factors. But now that meeting was originally supposed to have happened in October, but I have ignored it, put it off probably until next year. And here's my reason for that. My reason is, if I follow up that video now, there's nothing to report, because what happens is the algae comes during the summer, and then we get to now, to autumn, where the higher rainfall, the drop in the temperatures basically kills the algae off, and then it gets flushed out of Lough Neagh, out to sea, or it goes and settles on the bottom. So there's nothing really to see at this time of year. For about a month after the algae dies off, something weird's going to happen every year, in that, depending on what is that, a lot of people in Northern Ireland are going to slightly funny tasting water, because 40% of the drinking water comes from Lough Neagh. And in certain areas, depending which way the wind has been blowing, the wind blows all the dead algae in certain directions, and if it blows it in the direction of one of the water extraction units, everybody in that area will have funny smelling water for a few days. Now, they say it's not toxic, it's just a taste, it's perfectly safe to drink, but regardless, it means, you know, who wants to drink swampy smelling water? So that's going to happen every year. But in general, over winter, there's nothing to see. So I think I'm going to follow that video up, maybe coming into next spring, next summer, because I think that will be the more important point. Because the big question is the algae going to come back next year again? Probably. Most likely it will come back. Most likely it will just be as bad, if not worse, than it was this year, because, you know, in between the summer and now and next summer, nothing significant is going to be done. This is one of my favourite places down here. This is McClelland's Pint, and Nick McClelland knows exactly what I mean by that. It's beautiful out here. By the middle of summer again, this smelled disgusting. You came down here, smell of slurry, smell of death, smell of filth. We're actually going to go to a spot where it was as bad as it gets, and I want to see if there's anything left. So I'm going to follow that video up, but I'm not going to follow it up until the summer. Now, however, I've come across another kind of pollution related story in the meantime that I think I'm going to cover first, because an environmental activist made me aware of a document, and that document made me aware of some serious problems with Belfast Lough. Now, Belfast Lough is a location that's renowned for its mussels, its seafood, as well as being a place where lots of wild swimmers go and bathe during the summer. But there is a beach on Belfast Lough, and I've now been there, and on that beach, if you dig around, you will find these weird matted clumps. They're kind of like a grey-white. Initially, you'll think it looks like a mop, and you pull on it, and it might come out, might be like 3-4 feet long. It's this disgusting. It looks like a drowned poodle. It's horrible, and that is a matted mess of wet wipes that have come straight out of the sewage system and straight into the sea. You look around a little bit more, and you will find a huge number of sanitary pads, tampon applicators, toothbrushes, dental floss, the plastic sticks from cotton buds, just all kinds of disgusting bathroom related waste that in no way should be working its way into the loch. And the most disgusting factoid I found, because this is all happening because raw sewage is getting pumped directly into the sea, the most disgusting thing is that at the outlets where the sewage comes out, you'll quite often see seabirds and ducks swimming around in the water. The reason for that, you know the way when you eat sweet corn it's never quite fully digested? Yep, the ducks are eating the sweet corn. And then the rest of the filth is washing out into the loch, where it's being eaten by the mussels, the highly prized mussels that are then being sold to Brussels and places in Europe, and they're literally being fed on the waste of the people of Belfast. So I think that's an interesting story. And aside from that, it's a story that people really need to hear about, because it absolutely should not be happening. Now there's a lot more to it than that, and I've got to write a script before I can start making that video, but I'm hopeful I'll get it done and out on the main channel before the end of November, and then wait for the backlash. There's some politicians who would really prefer that attention wasn't brought to it at all, because there's money that could have been allocated to that and it's been taken and it's been spent elsewhere. But also the general public are not going to like the video either, because the conclusion, well, I'll not give any more away. Ooh, listen, hear the birds? It's kind of a weird place down here. This is reclaimed land. Originally, the water levels in Lough Neagh were about, I think, 20 feet higher, 30 feet higher maybe, but they drained it and dropped the level back in maybe the 1930s, and it was a long time ago. Actually, it's probably further back than that, could be 100 years ago. So if you go that direction, and you'll see when we run out of here, we'll be climbing up a hill. That hill was the original bank out of the water, and where we are now was originally the loch bed, because they drained it and it added a huge extra amount of land, because Lough Neagh is 330,000 square kilometres. So you drop that by 20 feet, and that gives you an extra, say, I don't know, 100 metres of shoreline. That's a lot of extra space. I think it was mostly for agricultural farming and so on at the time. So we've been meddling with Lough Neagh for a very, very long time. So this right here, this is the exact spot I shot the opening shot for that video, and that opening shot was the thing that caught everybody's attention, because this place just looked like it was completely covered in green slime. It looks totally different now. You can tell there's been quite a lot of rough weather, because all this like organic matter here is washed up. Possibly that includes some of the remnants of the algae, but it doesn't smell anymore. And the water here, it's crystal clear. So I think it might be, well, I'm pretty confident that it is now okay to get back out on the water over winter, which is what I intend to do. I haven't used my paddleboard all summer, and a day like that, look how calm that is. Paddling out on that is just bliss. The question is, for how long in the next year will that water remain clear? Last year the algae was starting to form round about the end of May. I went out on a paddleboard around the end of May and I could just start to see the green particles forming, because what typically happens is it takes, once the air temperature is like over like 15 or something like that, and you get a few sunny days, that's typically when the extreme level of nutrients in the water allow the algae to cause those massive blooms. So it's catch-22, because we want sunshine, we want a bright summer, because that's when you want to get out in the water, that's when you want to start swimming. But that's also the very thing that brings the algae back in force. So yeah, we'll just have to see at what point and when it returns next year. I think that will be the point where I will try and get my follow-up video published, because that's when people are going to be asking questions again. Anyway, I've done 5k so far. I've got about another maybe 5k to do. Talking is slowing me down, so I'm going to put the camera away, finish the run here. But thanks to all of you for getting me out running again, and thanks for joining me on today's little run, and I'll catch you on the next one, which don't know what the next one will be. I might occasionally put non-running content on here. Oh, the next video I might make on here is going to be about these headphones. These are the Shokz Open Run Pro 2. I love these headphones. I've been testing them now for a few months. I think it's time I made a dedicated video about them. So yeah, I'll do that. Bye bye.